Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the Dev.Next, Dev.Next speaker clinic, the first one. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything looks good and working well for you, let me know. Yes, I see Guilherme saying hello. So that might mean that things are working. So let me know. Go on the chat on the side here. Let me know if it's working. So let me say hello to a lot of people here. There's a lot of people joining in. Hey, Eric. Hey, Amog. Hey, Martin. Good to see you here. Hi, Teresa. Hey, Thiago. Jonathans. Schnea. Hi, Schnea. That's how I say your name. Hi, Jonathans. Hi, Guilherme. Hey, Mansour. Good afternoon, everyone. Working good. Schnea, all good. Excellent. Okay, good. So we want to make this very, very interactive, right? So it's not about presentation, about helping you. Works okay. Martin saying that works okay. So there's only one. I only know one Martin that has a JN in his name. So I'm hoping it is him. So here's how this is going to work, right? I want to help you on your presentation, whatever the presentation is, whatever status you are right now. We are 30 days away from Dev.Next. I know that Venkat opened up this clinic for everyone, so maybe you're not speaking at Dev.Next. That's not a problem. If that's the case, it's okay too. So you can also ask questions and be ready to come. If you're coming to Dev.Next, even if you're not a speaker, remember that we're gonna have the speaker clinic at the event, right? So if you're a speaker, we're gonna run the speaker clinic at the events. We're gonna have several speakers there helping out. So you can come live and you can kind of practice your presentation right there during the event. If you're coming to the event as an attendee, right? This is also going to be open for you, so you can also come to the speaker clinic and have a discussion on how you can become a speaker, for example. If you're not coming to the event, this is the perfect time to go to the website and register for it and come with us. There's going to be a lot of cool speakers there. It's going to be the first Dev.Next, so you being there, right, is going to make all the difference. So that's what we want to do. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a brief overview of the whole speaking process. Right. It's going to be really quick, and then I'm going to open up for questions. If you have questions right now, you can go ahead and present questions. If you want to present, if you want to show your slides, or you want to talk a little bit about your presentation, I do like a 5-minute presentation to experiment with your presentation. You can raise your hand and I can bring you in here, and then you can present for everybody so we can all comment. So we're just going to make this very, very interactive, very, very open, and that's it, right? Any questions so far? So let me get why you're thinking about your question. So this is my question to you, right? What is the biggest challenge, right? The biggest problem, the biggest frustration that you have with your presentation today, right? Is it the slides? Is it live coding? Is it, what is the biggest challenge that you have with your presentation, right? Because that's what we want to do here. We want to help you out with the challenge. And there's one more thing. This is the first one of the speaker clinics, right? We're going to run a series of them, right? Maybe 3 or 4 before the event. And there are some other speakers. So Venkat is scheduling one that he's going to be here with me to help you in your presentation. Arun Gupta and Daniel Steinberg are also helping out with the speaker clinic. So, I'm not sure they're here. Arun, Daniel, if you're there, let me know. I didn't see your names there, so maybe you're not. So, Arun Gupta and Daniel Steinberg are also helping out with the speaker clinic. So they will come eventually, right, to one of those clinics to participate, right? So, but we just want to get started, right? We're doing the first one, and because we want to help you on your talks as fast as possible, all right? So 30 days to go, right? Who has the presentation ready? So here is Martin. I'm gonna start speaking, and my biggest fear is to tell stuff everybody already knows. All right, okay. So hold that. I'm gonna mark your your question as a question, and you're gonna see in the chat that it becomes like little red dots. And so everyone else, if you want to make sure that I see it, mark as a question so I don't miss your question, right? So I'm gonna get to that question, Martin, in a minute. So just a general overview, right, of presentation, right? The whole presentation process. So let me ask one thing, right? What's the most important part of the presentation? What's like the thing that you're most worried about, right? You know, when Martin says, I want to tell stuff that everyone already knows, right? So what is the most important part of your presentation? Who wants to tell me? What is the most important parts of your presentation? Or the one that you're most worried about, right? Probably because you think it's so important, right? You know, no one's gonna tell me. You know, I know there's a little bit of delay. Everyone else that joined this, I saw lots of people join in after we started. So, you know, if you join in, say hello on the chat. I see Nisha. You know, someone, I think Chad already said hello. So Eric says, for me, 13 years old, son, and I going to be co-presenting one of the kids' workshop. That's pretty cool. All right. Okay. Just interactive and hands-on. All right. So we're going to get to that question in a minute, Eric. Right now, I would appreciate tips for keeping an audience engaged. All right. Okay, cool, Teresa. So that's good because I'm going to start with the big overview, and the big overview, we're already going to answer some of those questions. That's pretty cool. All right. So no one told me, but I'll tell you what most people tell me, that the most important part of the presentation is the content, right? You know, content is king, right? We say this, right? Content is king. So, you know, the content is the most important part of the presentation, right? So, hey, Hugo, hey, Vinicius. So a lot of people tell me, yes, Bruno, the content is the most important part of the presentation. And let me think. Let us think about it. Yeah, and I think the content, yes. The most important thing is to be enthusiastic. Okay, we're going to talk about this enthusiasm in a minute, Martin. That's good. Yes, there is a delay. I know. So the most important thing, a lot of people say, oh, the most important thing is the content, right? And the content, yes, the content is really important, right? What are you going to present? That's why the first question we got here from Martin was, I know I'm afraid of speaking with stuff that everyone already knows. So I'm going to, my content, right, it's going to be things that everyone already know, right? So, and that's a reasonable fear, right? Because what is the content, right? The content is what I did, right? My content is what I did. My content is, you know, my problems, right? The problems that I had in the past. You know, it's my customers, right? The things that my customers did, my project, the projects that they're working on happened. You know, so the content is a lot of me, right? That's what the content is. There's no way to change that, by the way, right? Because the content is all about you, right? Because that's the only thing you can talk about, right? You can talk about you or people that you know or people that you're working with, projects you participate at, right? So content is a lot of me. And let me tell you a secret, right? Okay, so Jonathan said that he needs to exit. That's okay, Jonathan. This is going to be recorded. You can watch later. Ask your question before you leave. If anyone has to leave, ask your question before you leave. So I can answer your question. You can watch a replay. All right? So the content is a lot of me, right? There's no way to change that. The content is you. It's your stories. But Bruno, but what about if I learn a story from someone else? It's still something that you learn it from someone else, right? And so it's something else that you learn it, right? So the content, right, it's all about you, okay? But let me tell you a secret, very important secret. No one, okay, so I'm going to tell this looking at you guys, right? So no one cares about you, right? No one cares about you, Nishat. No one cares about you, Amog. No one cares about you, Hugo. No one cares about you, Guilherme. No one cares about you. People don't come to your talk to hear you speak, right? People don't come to your talk because you are Java champion or you're a rock star or whatever, right? People come to your talk because they don't come to the events, right? Because of you or me or anyone, right? You know, they come to the event because they want something, right? They would come for the event because they have some kind of problems. They're working on some kind, their projects need to improve, their careers need to improve. They're coming for the event because they have some kind of problem, some kind of situation, some kind of issue that they have to deal with, right? So people care about how your content, right? How you can help them solve their problems or achieve something they want, right? So the content is important, but more important than the content is the problem. What is the problem that people have, right? Because people come, they want to hear your content because they have a problem, right? And they want to hear your content. That's going to solve their problem, probably, right? But the problem is not something out of the blue. That's one thing that we need to understand. The problem is not something out of the blue, something that, you come out from nowhere, right? The problem, it's always, there is a who, there's someone, there's a who that has a problem, and they come to watch your content. They can read your blog, watch your presentations, participate in your podcast, come here on the webinar. They come to watch your content, right? There's a who that has a problem. They want to come to the content to solve the problem, right? That's so your presentation, you have to think about who is the person, right, that should be in your presentation that has this type of problem, and then your content can help them achieve success. Now the question is, is your content enough to solve the problem? Right here, right now, is my content here enough to solve your problem as a speaker? Right? When you finish this here, you're going to have a perfect presentation? Is that what's going to happen? No way, right? So your content doesn't do anything. Your content doesn't solve any problem, right? That's something we have to realize. We as speakers, we have to realize our content doesn't solve anything, right? The only thing that solves something is if after watching our content, the person, the who, takes an action. When who takes an action, right? That's when some form of transformation, right? So when who takes an action, some form of transformation can happen for that person so they can solve the problem. Our contents don't solve problems for anyone. We have to understand that. It requires that they take an action. That's why, for example, someone asked, Nisha asked about how not set the session being boring, right? Or someone said about being enthusiastic. All of the things that we're doing is so we can help that who to take an action, right? So this is what a presentation is, right? If the person takes an action after watching your content was valid for them because it's actually several steps, right? They took the first step, right? Okay, makes sense? So that's what a presentation is, right? And of course, we can organize this in all kinds of different ways, but I want you to understand that this is really important, really, really important. If you, the speaker, if you don't know what action who is going to take after your content, if you as the speaker, you don't know what action it is, kind of bring this a little closer here. I think it's going to be better. Yeah. All right. So if you as a speaker, if you don't know what is the action who is going to take, how can the audience know? Right? How can the audience decide, oh, I'm going to take an action? I don't even know this. I just heard this content. It sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty interesting, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I need to do, right? Because I just heard of that. So the speaker, you have to know what is the action you want people to take, because that action will help them do the next step. Make sense? So this is what I want you to think about. when you're thinking about your talk, and I'm going to start answering some of the questions here, but when you start thinking about your talk, right, this is what you need to think about. What action do I want people to take? Right now, what action do I want you to take, right? I want you to talk with me. That's the action I want you to take right now. I want you to send me my questions so we can talk about your talk, right? That's the only action I want, right? Maybe you want to come to the next ones, right? But you already took that action, right? Because I'm going to invite you for the next one, right? Because now you registered for this one, I'm going to invite you for all the next clinics so you don't miss any, right? But right now, what I want is you to take that action that you already did, right? That's the whole point of this conversation here. My point of my conversation, I'm gonna using my example here. The whole point of my conversation here, and someone asking how to be interactive, right? The interaction is this, what we're doing now. My point of view is the action I want you to take is to ask your questions. If you take that action, ask your questions, I can help you overcome whatever problem, whatever fear, whatever discussion you're having right now. Right? So Martin, I like the action point of view. Yes. So who has a problem? They come to your talk because they want to solve their problem. And your content is the bridge between the problem and the action. Your content is the bridge between the problem and the action. If your content allow people to help people take action, your content is great. If your content does not help people take action, your content is lacking, right? It could be very entertainment. It could be very interesting, right? It could be very engaging. But if it doesn't help me take an action, it's just entertainment, right? Because that's the point. There are contents that is just entertainment. And that content, the problem is I'm bored, right? So I come to see a TV show, or I come to see a play, or I come to see, something, right? I go to the movies and I'm entertained, right? And then there's no action to be taken after that, right? Because the content is the action, right? It's just entertainment. But if you wanna solve a problem, right? Then you have to help people take action in your talk. Make sense? All right. So let's with this, let's discuss a little bit the question that I got here so far. Right? So Martin is saying, I'm a starter at speaking, and my biggest fear is to tell stuff everybody already knows. All right. So here's the point, Martin. First of all, if you state your problem, because here, who and the problem, that's the description, right? This is the description, the title and the description of your presentation is who and the problem. So if you, Martin, if you describe a clear who, if you describe a clear problem that you're going to solve your presentation, who is going to come to your presentation? Someone that has that problem. That's here. That's easy, right? So if they come to your presentation because they have that problem, you don't need to be afraid anymore. Oh, I'm going to tell stuff that everybody already knows. Well, if they know, they're not going to come to your talk, right? Because they don't have the problem. Make sense? So your fear of saying things that everybody already knows means that you're not clear what problem you solve. Because then when people come to your talk, they don't know what you're going to talk about, right? Big chance is that talks that don't have a clear problem, they're not even going to be accepted at an event. But sometimes they are. And then there is a reason for you to have this fear, because people are going to come to your talk. All right, so don't worry too much about this, Martin. You should tell people, you should help people solve the problem, right? If you're helping them solve a problem, a real problem, not a fake problem, not a problem you imagine people have, but a real problem. If you're helping people solve a real problem, you don't have to be afraid of telling stuff they already know, because if they already knew, they would have solved the problem. But then you can say, but Bruno, what if they know, but they never took action. They know about this stuff, right? Well, everybody knows, right? Let's think about things that everybody knows, right? And doesn't do. Everybody knows that doing continuous integration improves your project. Everybody knows that, right? And there's a lot of people that don't do it. They know it, but they don't take action. So your problem is not in knowing or not. Your problem is what problem they really have, because they know it and they don't do it, right? So what's the real problem here? It's not knowing. The real problem is there's something else, right? Maybe their company doesn't allow them to do it. Maybe they don't have the time to do it. Maybe they don't understand enough how to do it. So now you have to understand what's the real problem they have, so you can help them take action. Because the only thing that matters is the action. It's not what they know, Martin, that matters. It's what action they're going to take. Right? Make sense? So don't be too worried about the fear, right, or everybody already knowing. If you want to be more detailed, Martin, tell me what you're talking about so we can talk more about this. I agree on the point. People are not coming when you describe the problem in a good way. Right? Yes. Perfect. If you discuss a point of view, technique, or something, how can you encourage people to take action? Okay, so yeah, we're going to take action. We're going to talk about action in a minute. Let me go over some of the other questions here. They're more relevant for what I'm saying right now. So yes, action is really important, but we're going to get to that in a minute. Eric says, you know, for me and my 13-year-old son, we're going to be co-presenting for one of the kids' workshop, how search engines work. Okay, that's a cool stuff, and you know, it's challenging to talk with kids, man. I present tons to adults, but to make a 2-hour session with this topic is daunting. I can present slides, no problem, for hours and hours and demo stuff, but I need to make this more interactive and hands-on. Suggestions. All right. So here's the thing that I think about. Eric, I'm going to tell you a story. All right. I'm going to tell a story that maybe it's going to show you things you can do. So I was invited to give a talk at a kids event, right? TDC for kids, one of the 4 kids events here in Brazil. And you know, I'm responsible for the speaker mentorship at TDC, right? So they said, Bruno, it would be amazing if you come here for the kids event to talk about how to be a speaker. You got this? It didn't froze it. It's just me, like, that's how I did. I froze it. I'm like, what? You know, which kids wants to be a speaker? Come on, guys. No kids want to be a speaker, right? So you can't just come to a bunch of kids and say, let me teach you how to be a speaker, because they don't care about that. They're not worried about it. They don't understand. That's not a problem they have. That's not a problem that kids have. That's exactly the same problem you have, Eric. Kids don't want to know how search engines work, right? They don't have that problem. You know, they don't care about how kids events work. I mean, how not kids events, I'm sorry, how search engines work, right? So now that's your problem, Eric, right? So the problem becomes your problem now. So that's how it happened with me. I was like, okay, I mean, kids don't want to be a speaker, right? So what did I do, Eric? I said, okay, so what do kids, look, no one cares about you. Eric, no one cares about you. Kids don't care about you. Kids don't care about your topic. They don't care about what you're going to talk about. Kids have their own problems. Their own, and when I say problems, right? You know, it's either a problem, it's either something that it is a problem, or I want something, right? It's a need, right? A problem could be, you know, I want to, for example, for kids, right? A problem could be, I'm not going very well in school. That's a problem, right? Or a problem could be, I want to be very well. I want to do very well at school. So that's a want. They want that. It becomes a problem, right? They're not having what they want is the problem, right? Okay, so now, what did I do on that case? No, Bruno, come here, talk to kids about speaking. And I'm like, okay, so what do kids want? What's the problem that kids want? All the kids, they love YouTube. Every kid, they love YouTube. And they love to watch all those YouTubers to do funny things, right? So that's what I present about. I didn't present about how to be a speaker. I present about how to be a cool YouTuber, right? So I'm reversing. Now I'm adapting my content to their problem. How to be an amazing, not an amazing YouTuber. So now you got to the attention of the kids. Oh, I want to be, and all the kids come around me. And all the parents want to pay attention to that too, right? Because everyone wants to be a YouTuber, right? Or wants their kids to be a YouTuber, right? So, and by the way, let me tell you a story. The end result of this is that several parents came to talk to me after that, and I actually got business out of this, right? So it's funny because someone asked me to come to their company to present to their company about being a better speaker. So, you know, that's what you need to do, Eric. You need to think about what kids want. What do they want? And don't talk about, look, if you want to be a YouTuber, you have to be a great speaker, right? But they don't know you have to be a great speaker. They want to be a YouTuber. So here's the maximum that you guys have to understand about speaking, about sales, about marketing. You attract people for what they want, and you deliver to them what they need. So you attract them for what they want, solve a problem, but you deliver what they need, good content that will help them take action, right? So here, Eric, what problem kids have that a searching engine solves, right? So why do they need to learn how a search engine works? What exactly is that they need to learn there? And so now you can arrange your talk in a way that solves some kind of kid's problem they have. Maybe it's doing work for school and you need a search engine, right? Or maybe what you're doing is that, you're using a search engine to teach kids how to program. That could be a different thing. I don't know exactly how your talk is going to be, but, maybe the problem is I want to learn how to program, or I need, my parents want me to learn how to program, right? Or, but the truth is, what do kids want, Eric? Kids want to have fun. That's a big problem in their life. They want to have fun. They want to play games, right? So make this a game. There's a great game, how to find YouTube videos of interest. Yes, that's a great way. If you're going to teach them how to use a search engine, that could be a great way, how to find YouTube videos of interest. That could be, right? I don't think, Mansour, I don't think kids like, I want to find reliable content on the internet. No, I don't see a 6-year-old or a 12-year-old kid saying, I want to find reliable content on the internet. No, that's not what they ask. They might be asking, how do I find fun content on the internet? Or how do I find content that my friends are watching on the internet? That could be another way, right? Think the way they think. Ask your kids, right? You have a 13-year-old who's going to help you, Eric. Ask him what's the big problem they're trying to solve, right? But there's a great game that's called iRobot. I can search in a minute and find a link for it. But there's a great game. There's that kids, that you can teach kids how to program by having the kids pretend they are robots. Actually having their parents pretend they're robots and the kids are the programmers of the robots. So that's a pretty cool game. So that's what I would do, Eric. I would find a fun game that kids could do, even if no computers, right? Something that they could do, and then they could explain how those things work, right? By doing something, by playing a game, they could get some result. That's what I would do, Eric. Make it very interactive, right? Actually, kids don't like to be sitting down in front of a computer, for example. They don't like to follow instructions, right? So it's very hard, if all you're doing is kind of getting the kids to follow instructions, they get uninterested very fast, right? So get them to move, right? Get them to move first and then sit down on the computer, for example. That could be an interesting thing, because kids, they really want to move around. They really want to do their own stuff, right? All right. Okay, Eric. So that's a start, man. I don't envy you, right? They're doing the kids thing. It's not easy, right? But very courageous of you and of your kids, right? To do this. Is he here in this call? He should be here, right? He should be here talking with us. But get him involved on preparing this. That's the most important part. Get him involved, because what you're doing here. There's two things you're doing, Eric. One, you're teaching other kids from other parents to become, to learn more about certain Indians. That's what you're doing, Eric. One thing. The other thing you're doing, Eric, you're teaching your kids how to be a speaker, right? So that's important. That's really a big chance for you, right? I have 3 children. I have taught some computer and martial art classes for young folk a few times before. So you're spot on. All right, cool, man. You rock. You're doing this. So you rock. Yes, perfect. Excellent. Totally excellent. All right, so let me see. Next question here. And I'm going to unmark your questions, right? So just so make sure that I've already answered everything. And by the way, if there's more questions, go ahead. Keep asking. I'm going to be here answering everything. So Teresa says, I would appreciate tips for keeping an audience engaged throughout the entire 45 minutes. All right. So there's 2 things here, Teresa. 45 minutes. All right. So just want you to think about on Dev.Next. Most presentations are 1 hour and a half, right? Are actually 90 minutes. Right, so be careful if we're thinking about 45 minutes presentation for Dev.Next, right? A lot of events, the presentation is 60 minutes, right? So people say, I'm going to do 45 minutes and then 15 minutes of questions. Well, you should think about that, 15 minutes for questions. You have to be very good at getting people to ask questions, right? So just understand that. So first things first, understanding how your time is going to play out is important, right? I'm not sure, the 45 minutes, Teresa, if it's you. All right, so it's going to be okay. So you're probably doing for another event for 45 minutes. Just kind of keeping attention here for Dev.Next. Dev.Next is a 90 minutes presentation, most of them. I know there's some shorter ones, but most presentations are 90 minutes. All right. Yes, no problem about Teresa. I know we are a bunch of different people from different conferences, so that's totally okay. All right. So now the question is, how do I keep the audience engaged? Right. So let me show you how to get the audience engaged. Right. What we're doing here. Think about it. What are you doing here? Right. We are doing engagement. That's engagement right there. How to get your audience engaged. If you talk about you, if your talk is me, your audience is not interested. The less you talk about you, the more people you're going to reach, the more engaged you're going to be, right? So the whole point is not talking about you, right? So let me drive this point home really strongly. All right, so I'm going to give you one quick tip, and then I'm going to go more about engagement. I'm going to give you one quick tip on engaging. Think about it. Everyone wants to engage the audience. Everyone wants to have a highly engaged audience, right? So what do? You come in and you say, hey, hello, everyone. Wonderful to see you here. And then you engage with the audience, you get everyone, and then you start your presentation, right? And then, so then you get to slide number 2. So you start, right? The audience is not engaging with you. You start, right? Actually, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me tell you a true thing, guys and gals. Every time you're walking, every step you're walking into a stage, the interest for you or the audience diminishes, right? Everyone is there, bored, waiting for you to start. Maybe the previous presentation was not very good, or maybe the first presentation, they don't know what to expect. They never heard of you. They're like, and so you're walking on stage, right? You start walking every step like, who is this guy? Looks like an old man, right? He's bald in his head. If you're watching my talk at Code One, for example, he's wearing a cape, right? Who is this person? Why am I here? Should I be watching Venkat's presentation in another room, right? And then it's your job, as soon as you walk on the stage and say hello, your job is to get the audience engaged again. Say, hey, hello, everyone. Come with me. Ask questions to the audience. Do something. We call this, you taking control of the room. Right? There's lots of strategy to take control of the room. You can, some speakers staying silent. A minute of silence or 30 seconds of silence, it's pretty unnerving, right? And so everyone pays attention at you because the whole room gets in silence and start looking at you, right? So some speakers do this. Some speakers, I'm more like, hey, hello, everyone, right? And another great tactic is ask questions. So who is here as a Java developer? Who is here as a Ruby developer, right? You ask questions so you can engage the audience. You do something to take control of the room. Right? Some speakers say, I'll joke. Some speakers, there's all kinds of different ways for you to take control. But you take control of the room. You get everyone looking at you, right? You get everyone paying attention at you. Amazing. Great work, right? If you do this, great. You're a great speaker. Great work. You started very, very well. You took control of the room. And then what happens? And then you start speaking. And then you get to slide number 2. What's slide number 2? For most speakers, the ones that are already watching my talk, they don't have that slide. What's slide number 2? It's this slide you talk about yourself, right? It has a picture of you, and then you have everything you did in your life, and you have the company you work for, and blah, 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 blah. Right? Me. And so then the audience does what? Oh, man. Stop paying attention. Again, you can see this. I have lots of pictures of speakers. When they get to slide number 2, everyone in the room gets their phone and do that last check or WhatsApp, right? Let's look at the last look at their Slack messages. Everyone stop paying attention because no one cares about you. Right? So then that's okay. You do this. If you know what you're doing, you do this. That's okay, right? But then it's your job to take control of the room again. Oh, man. That's tiring. Why are you going to do this to yourself, right? Why are you going to make your life so miserable? Having to take control of the room twice in the first 5 minutes of presentation, that's terrible. Right, so let me give you a suggestion. Let me give you a suggestion, Teresa, that's going to improve your talk immediately. You get slide number 2, and you delete it. Throw it away. your presentation gets immediately better, right? Because now you don't have to do this twice. Oh, Bruno, but I love slide number 2. I choose such a nice picture. I talk about so many cool stuff there. I love myself. I want to talk about me. All right. I understand that. Right? I understand that. So, get slide number 2 and put all the way to the end of your presentation. You know that slide that you have, Q&A, questions and answers? You throw that one out and you put that slide number 2 all the way in the end of your presentation. That's great, because now people watching your talk the whole time. They love what you have to say. They're interested. They want to take action. They want to be connected with you. And then, all right, now there's your information. Now they want to pay attention. Now they're interested. All right. So that's a very tiny thing you can do, Teresa. Easy. That's immediately going to get better attention in your presentation. But now answering the general question, how do you get attention? How do you keep the attention of people, right? How to keep people engaged? You talk with them. Look, a presentation it's not you speaking. A presentation is you helping who to solve their problem, right? So a presentation is about a conversation between you and the audience, right? All the time. It's a conversation. So you talk something, you see what the audience responds. You see if they laugh about your jokes, if they say like this with your head, or they say like this if they don't trust you, if they raise their hands when you ask something, it's always a conversation. So the more you make this a conversation and the less you make this about your slides, the more interesting it's going to be. That's why the best presentation are like this, right? You talk with people, because speaking is a conversation. All right? And then Martin says, it's not cheesy to start with who here is a Java developer. Well, if it makes sense to your presentation, it's not. Right? Let's say you're going to say, it's going to be a presentation about, for example, my case, I talk about career, right? So, I don't know who my audience is. It's all developers. But, if you're a Java developer, I can talk about one thing. If you're a Ruby developer, I can talk about something else. If you are a PHP developer, I can mention something else. So I can ask, who here is a Java developer? Who here is a PHP developer? Right? Because now I know who my audience is. But if you just come in and ask about nothing, there's two things, Martin, that makes this very cheesy and wrong. First thing is, if you ask something that has nothing to do with your presentation, right? Let's say you're going to talk about, or some obvious thing, right? You're talking about how Java is the best language in the planet, right? Let's say that's your title. And there's lots of people there, and then they're all Java developers. So why are you going to ask them all Java developers, right? Or if you come to an event, it's a Java event. So you're asking, who here is a Java developer? Right? Why are you asking this? Everyone is, of course, right? So that's not very good. That's kind of cheesy. The other mistake people make is that they ask something and they don't change their talk. So they can say, who here is so you have a very advanced talk. Let's say you have a very advanced talk about Java performance. And then you come in and say, who here is a professional Java developer with more than 5 years of experience? No one raised their hands. Who here has more than 3 years of experience? No one raised their hand. Who here is just learning Java right now? Everyone raised their hands. So now you know who your audience is, right? And then a lot of speakers do what? They just go and do the exact same talk, the exact same slides. They go on and discuss Java performance, garbage collector, and all of them amazed. Like they go deep in the source code, the JVM, and the audience like, what the hell? What is this? I don't understand any of that, right? Because the speaker asks a question, but doesn't do anything with the question, with the answers. So you should ask questions to the audience that makes sense to your talk and that you're going to do something with it. If you're not going to do something with it, you're probably doing it wrong. Okay? All right. I know I answer out of order here, but marketing has everything to do with what I was talking about. All right. So, so Teresa, it's always a conversation. Always a conversation. Okay. So Vinicius market hello as a question, but I don't think that's a question, Vinicius. Hey, hello. How are you doing? So Amog asks, this is my first talk. My biggest concern is similar to Martin's. How should I estimate the audience level of knowledge on the subject? So you don't, right? You don't estimate, Amog. You say you're going to talk about a particular problem, right? If you're clear in what particular problem you're talking about, you can expect that your audience is interested in that problem, right? Now, on that question, there is a different answer. There's a different thing there. That's oops. There's a different question there. There's like, what happens when my audience is very mixed, right? What happens when my audience, it has a lot of beginners, right? It has a lot of guys in the middle. It has a lot of advanced, some advanced, right? It's usually that way. Some people advanced, and there's a couple of high advanced people, right? Maybe Venkat's watching your talk, right? So like, that's hard, right? I have to talk to all of those people. Man, how can I do this? Right? So that's why I'm saying you don't estimate, because you don't know, Amog. You could create a presentation that's very for beginners, and then Venkat shows up and watch your talk. How about that, right? What happens with this? So let me tell you how you do a presentation, right? You don't do a presentation going wide. Usually, right? You do a presentation going deep. The deeper you go, right? You start in a place where the beginners can understand, right? And so, of course, the mid and advanced people are going to say, yeah, I know this, right? That's okay. But then you start going down and go deeper and deeper. And then you get to a point where, the mid and advanced people, they're like, oh, yeah, this sounds interesting. I've heard of that, but but maybe not this way. But notice, because you start in the beginning, the beginners, they can follow you. They can understand what you're saying. They can go deep with you. And then you get to a point, right, where, the mid guy's like, whoa, I never thought about this. The advanced guys are like, hey, that's so interesting, right? And the high advanced people can start paying attention to it. This is getting somewhere interesting. And then you get to a point, there's like the very, very deep one, where everyone's like, whoa, this is amazing, right? Because now you got something for everyone. But the cool stuff that the beginners, maybe they don't have that problem right here. Maybe they never thought about it. Maybe they don't even have enough to fully understand the impact of this. But they're able to follow you all along and come to you right there. So that's not easy. All right? That's not easy, but it's totally doable. That's how you do. You go deep 6 or 7 times last year, me and Yara Sanger. And we had this presentation where it was an event that was announced as a developer event, but it was marketed to all kinds of audiences. So every time we got there, we had people that had like 10 years of experience in development. And at the same time, we had people that never heard about software development in their lives. 3,000 people in the room, right? And we have to both talk to people that never heard about it, but also talk to the very advanced people. Not easy, right? So what do you do? That's why I when you have such a wide audience like this, I would always start asking, who here has 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, right? So then, why I was asking those questions? Because now the beginners will know, okay, this guy has to talk some advanced thing because there's a lot of advanced people in the room. But the other way around is also true. The highly advanced people knows, okay, he has to start at the very beginning because there's a lot of beginners in the room. So I would say, okay, so, I see there's a lot of beginners here. So from people that have 10 years of experience, give me a minute. We're going to get there, but let me just kind of give a brief introduction for the beginners. And then the highly advanced people are going to say, okay, I can wait because I know he's going to get to someplace I'm interested, right? So that's an example of how you do this using the questions, right? If it's a big audience, very widely varied people, that's a good way of doing it. Okay. Let me see if there's any comments here. Okay. Interesting about me slide too. I've been going back and forth about whether it's a good idea. No, it's never a good idea. It's a good idea in the end. Yes, your slide in the end is a good idea, right? But in the beginning, never good idea. They don't care, right? They don't care about you. All right. So let me go back here. So then Amog, okay, we talk about Amog's question. And then say, Nietzsche asks, hi, 75 minutes seems to be very long time. How to not let the session become boring? All right, Nietzsche, yes. So that's one of the problems that we have. I said 90 minutes, but I think you're right. I think it's 75 minutes, right? So it's not 1 hour and a half, it's 1 hour and 15 minutes, right? So I think you're probably right, Nietzsche. I was thinking about 1 hour and a half, but I think you're right. Because 1 hour and a half and giving time for people to get to the next talk, right? So with time in between. So I understand, right? So what's the reasoning? The reasoning of the 1 hour and 15 minutes is to give you time to go deep and deep and deep, right? That's the reasoning. So now you can go deeper on stuff. It's not because you have more time that you should talk about more things. That's an important distinction. All right? You have more time. That doesn't mean that you have to talk about more things. It means that you can go deeper in your problem, in your solution, right? So you can go deeper. And I understand, it's easy to get the session to become boring, right? But think about this. We're just talking about here that the best way to get the session to not be boring is to do interaction with the people, right? It's to interact, do a conversation with people. It's to answer questions. It's to help people. It's to understand what problem people have so you can help them out. So now, the best way to keep a talk engaging is to have a conversation with people. What is the answer I get from speakers a lot of time? Bruno, there's no way I can do a conversation because I have so much stuff to talk about in my 45 minutes or my 6 minutes talk that if I stop to have a conversation, I'm not going to have time to finish. Ha! All right, now you do. All right? Because now you have more time, so you can have the time to have a conversation. So let me tell you this, Nisha. It is probably easier to have a conversation with more time than with less time. So it's probably easier to have your talk more engaging because you have more time than if you had less time. Right? Because now you're not so worried about not having the time to talk about everything. So don't add more content. The other way around, guys. Reduce the content. Reduce the amount of things you're talking about. Go and focus on solving the problem, on helping people take action. Focus on helping them take action. And that's going to be a lot better. All right? Make sense, Nisha? If this was not enough with everything I told you so far, let me know. Martin, if you discuss a point of view, technique, or something, how can you encourage people to take action? Okay, we're going to talk about action in a minute. I said I'm going to leave this for last. All right. Let me see here. Lots of cool questions. All right. Snea says, mine is a non-technical talk. My concern is how to frame the introduction such that they will know that there is some good content coming up, and how to make the talk more engaging and have the audience participate in the talk. Okay, so let me tell you one thing. Every time you ask me a question, if you tell me a little bit about your talk, it helps. It could help me out giving a more specific answer to you. But Snea says, all right, it's a non-technical talk, right? How do I frame the introduction such that they will know that there is some good content coming up? You know what, Snea? You go for the good content. That's what you do. You go for the good content. You know, if you have to do an introduction to prepare people for the good content that's going to come, get the good content as fast as possible, right? You know, don't do an introduction. Go to the problem immediately, right? Make sure that people understand that there is a problem that you're going to help them solve. And once there's a problem you're going to help them solve, they're going to be interested. I have that problem. I want to stay here. I want to be there. I want to hear this. So go directly for the good content now. The whole point of her presentation is not for it to be beating the bush and kind of waiting and look, a presentation is not a surprise, right? It's not a surprise. It's not like, okay, so it's not like a Halloween party, right? That you surprise people, right? It's not like, oh, you know, I'm going to talk you this and this and this and then getting, surprise. No. It's the other way around, right? Presentation like, okay, we are here to solve your problem. So let's go right into it. Let's solve your problem. Oh, maybe you don't realize you have that problem. So let me explain you that this problem exists. Well, that's a different thing, right? But go directly to something that people are interested about. Okay, that's the first you got to do. Look, I do this for articles all the time, right? People say, Bruno, can you comment on my article? And then you read the first paragraph, is like blah, 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 blah. And then the second paragraph is like blah, 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 blah. And then the third paragraph is like, oh, that's something interesting. Okay, so I get the third paragraph and put it right in the first. That's what we want. We want interesting stuff to come immediately, because then people can say, yes, I want to stay here. Snea is going to make a great presentation because I want to stay here and watch that stuff. Make sense? Agilifying your home. All right, that's cool, right? Yes. Okay, Snea, that's exactly what you got. Presentation, not a surprise. That's a good point, right? Get to the problem, explain the problem, and solve it. You know, so your presentation about agilifying your home. Well, why do I need to agilify my home to begin with, right? You know, is that, who are you talking to? Are you talking to parents? Are you talking to single guys that don't want to get married? Are you talking to moms? Are you talking to, who are you talking to about, right? You know, are you talking to kids? Agilifying your home, that's for kids. You know, who are you talking about? What's the problem they have? You know, for parents, for example, right? Well, you know, I'm talking to parents, right? So maybe, what's the big problem they have? You know, are your kids not performing at school? Are your kids not helping out? And you know, to keep the house clean? You know, are you tired of doing everything yourself? You know, are you not able to handle your work and the life house? You don't have time to have fun in your house because, you know, so many chores you have to do. Well, okay, so if you agilify your house, right, we're gonna solve all of that, right? You're gonna get your kids performing and doing the right things. We're gonna get, you know, everyone on the same page. So you're gonna have time for fun and time for work and everything. Okay, now I can tell you how to agilify your house. Okay, so think about, what's the problem that I have? That's cool, man. All right. So let's see. Okay, I'm kind of missing some questions here, right? So I'm gonna go back here. Questions. All right, Martin. If you discuss a point of view, technically, oh, yeah, that's the action one. We're gonna get to that because I think the action is so important. So important, right? Having people take action is so important. I'm leaving this for the last. All right, so just kind of making sure that I remember this. The talk is preparing about the concept of CQRS, event-based system, and event sourcing. The problem I think I want to address is that you can reason about this kind of structure, can split it up, in some case replay it. It's kind of abstract because, of course, everyone's saying that the problem project is unique. I'm not sure if I understand your question, Martin, but so there's one concern I have with your question, Martin, right? Because first of all, I'm not sure I understood your question to begin with, so that's bad, because then I can't answer something I don't understand. So, but one thing you said really put red flags on me here. You say, the problem I think I want to address. All right, if you're not clear on what problem you're trying to address, if you're not clear on what's the action you want people to take, if you're not clear on who has the problem, how can you do your talk? It's very complex, Martin. Very hard, right? So you have to be very clear on what problem they have, and then from those two things, you can spend some time in thinking about your actions, because it's impossible to create the content if you don't know who, what problem, and what action. Well, a lot of speakers don't think about the action, because that's something that, I keep insisting, because a lot of people don't think about this, and it's kind of bad. It leaves their presentation kind of hanging, right? So it is possible for you to do a great content with just who and the problem without thinking about the action. I understand it is possible, yes. It's just not so good, right? But it's possible. A lot of speakers do this. But it is impossible to do a great content if you don't know who and the problem. Because you just kind of blabbling. You're just talking about yourself, right? And yes, maybe some presentations you can even have some results, right? By people abstracting you out of the presentation, maybe they can find some results out of this. But it's very hard, man. So I'm worried about you. The problem I think I want to address. If you're not clear on the problem, I think you should work on this, right? And when you explain it to me, the problem that you think, you're not sure, you think that you want to address, you explain that to me, I'm like, what? I have no idea if I understood that, right? I want to address that. You can reason about this kind of structure. You can split it up in some case, replay it, etc., etc. It's kind of abstract because, of course, everyone's saying that the project is unique. All right, so I'm not sure what problem you're talking about here, right? So if I'm not sure what problem you're talking about here, maybe it's just because I don't know enough about the subject, right? But if I'm not clear on the problem, I'm not even clear on how I can help you. You see the problem of lack of clarity? So if you're unclear about the problem, it's very hard for you to make the problem clear for me. And if you're not making the problem clear to me, how can you make it clear for your audience? Right? And by the way, yes, everyone thinks that their problem is unique. That's a big thing. That's a big reason why people don't take action, because they think their problem is unique. But then that's your job as a speaker, to show that yes, their problem. Because let me tell you this: yes, everyone's problem is unique. If you, as a speaker, you don't realize that, you don't really understand that every problem is unique, right? Then you are not helping them, right? Because that's true. Every problem is unique. It's a different team. It's a different technology. It's a different company. It's a different timeline. It's a different understanding of the problem, right? Every problem is, in fact, unique. It doesn't mean that solutions can be generic, right? Or that you can apply the same type of solution to many different problems. Every problem is unique. So you have to understand, people have to understand how they can apply your solution to their problem. That's how you help them. How you can help them apply your solution to their problem. If you can help them think about this, okay, I'm talking about the generic stuff here. I'm talking about something that can be applied to all kinds of different things. But now on my presentation, I'm going to help you understand how to map this general stuff to your particular problem. And then now you can really solve your particular problem, because now you have the ideas, you have the structure, you have the way of doing it. So for example, one of the books that I love most, right? It's right there, by the way, right? One right there, you know, all the way in the top. Oh, you can see from there. All the way in the top is the second book in my bookshelf, is the Design Patterns book. I love it. Why? Because it's a very generic thing. Very, very, very generic, right? And my mind, I know the moment when my mind became a developer mind is when I understood the Design Patterns book, because it took me several reads and many years to actually understand that book. Because once I understood it, the jump was, oh, this is not a book about code. This is not a book about programming. It's a book about thinking on a generic problem. And when we get the generic solution, we apply to my problem, that's code. Has nothing to do with the book, right? So it took me years to understand that. And when I did, I'm like, now I'm a developer, because now I can think about abstractions. So that's a great book, right? That taught me that. Very hard thing to understand, by the way. That's not easy. You know, it takes a lot of time, for a lot of years for it to make your mind to become a developer mind, right? And so that's a great book to help me do this, but it's not an easy thing to do. So if you are able to help me understand the general problem and map to my solution, you're doing a great work, Martin. So I think that's a great talk right there. Make sense? All right. So another topic. How do you make a technical talk memorable? I really like the talks I remember at the end of the day. I mean, not only dry talk. Okay, so this is everything to do with, I start with content because I have experience with that, and I really like it. To make a good talk, I'm agreeing that's not about me. Yes, okay, cool. I know, I understand that. All right, so Martin, I really like your answer that the problem people have should be the main approach. Okay, cool. All right, so now you have two questions, Martin, that I think they're the same thing, right? How to make my talk memorable and how to get people to take action. I think they're the same question, right? And because I did not answer your first time, you asked the second time in a different way. Smart of you, right? Very, very smart of you. All right, so let's go to the action part. This is really important. So if you give me a minute, I'm going to raise here because I think this is so important that I think it's valuable that we spend some time on this. Yeah, my board is getting a little bit old. It's hard. Every time it's harder to erase it. All right. Okay, you got it. Sorry about that. Okay. So, and I know we're a little over an hour now. I want to do this just an hour long because I want to be very conscious of your time. But since we're doing this on a Saturday, we can have a little bit of leeway here. By the way, that's an important thing, right? Time on your presentation. You know, make sure that you do whatever time it takes. I mean, you do what you do. You do a presentation on the time they give you, right? So, for example, if my presentation was a 75-minute presentation, I would have right now. I would have 5 more minutes, right, to finish this. So I could finish this in 1 hour and 15, right? But my objective here is to be with you as long as you have questions. Okay, so we're not going for that time, right? But think about it. Just a quick note before I go to the action thing. Think about it. 1 hour and 15 minutes, right? It was enough just to answer your questions. You know, even if I had if I had brought like lots of content to talk to you, I would not have time to answer your questions. So 1 hour, 15 minutes is not like a huge amount of time. If you focus on the problem that people have, it might be even short, right? So, you know, just some food for thought right there. But let me talk about the action. All right. So the most important thing people can do in your talk is to take action. And why I'm talking about action, it's not really about your talk being completely memorable. Like, look, what is memorable, right? What is memorable? So when you're preparing your talk, you can only, well, let me do the other way around. This is your talk, right? That you prepared. This here is not 100% of what you want to say, right? Because you're only able to put 60 to 70% of the things you want to say in your talk, right? So then people just remember about 60%. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Got it wrong mixing here, right? You know, you can only put about 80% of the things you want to say in your talk, right? So it's already less than what you want to say. And then, you know, people only listen. They only hear about 70% of what you say. And from what they hear, they only remember about 60% of what they only understand about 60% of what they hear, right? And after 5 hours, people only remember between 20 and 30% of what they understood. So this is your talk being memorable. You remember something from the talk. Something. Right? You might even, and sometimes all you remember is that, whoa, that was a great talk. I really like it. That talk was amazing. Well, Bruno gave a talk that I really like it. What did he say? I don't remember much. I really like it. I remember that on the time I was like, yes, that happens a lot, right? So sometimes people only remember the jokes, right? So you say the talk was memorable because I remember the jokes, right? And so now you have to understand why is that you want people to remember. So why is that you want people to remember, Martin? You want to remember the action. That's the thing that you want them to remember, right? What action they took or they're going to take. Because if they don't take action, nothing happens. So you want them to remember the action. That's what you want to do. You want them to remember the action. So that's why it's so important that you get clear on what action you want them to remember. Because otherwise, right, they're not going to remember anything. They're going to remember the jokes. They're going to remember the talk was interesting. The talk was nice. Let me turn this thing. I'll just turn this light off here. Yeah, got a little darker, but at least it doesn't. All right. So what's the action? What is the action? Let me tell you this. You know, for example, let me get Eric's example, right? Because Eric's going to talk about a very dry thing, right? He's going to talk about, you know, search engines, right? SEO for kids, search engine optimization for kids. Like, you can't get drier than that. Sorry, Eric, you have a big problem in your hand, right? That's a pretty dry subject right there, right? So, Eric can make this in all kinds of ways, right? But let's just use Eric as an example. So Eric we'll talk about search engine optimization. I know it's not search engine optimization, okay, Eric, but I'm just going to use this as an acronym here. We're going to talk about search engine optimization for kids. Now, my question is, after the presentation goes away, hey, Dan, good to see you here, man. After Eric finishes his presentation, people are going to leave, right? They're going to go home, right? Now, who do you think will keep talking about SEO? Right? Okay, dictionary, thesaurus. Okay, super excited, even better than that. Okay, so, who's going to keep talking about SEO, about search engine after you go home? Who's going to be keeping studying about search engine? Who's going to keep learning about this? Who will, in the whole of the audience, who is guaranteed to keep studying this stuff? Who? I tell you who. Eric. The only person that's guaranteed to keep studying this stuff is Eric. It's you. You, the speaker. You're going to keep going deeper in your subject, whatever your subject is. You're going to keep going deep into events. You're going to keep going deep into agile. You're going to keep going deep into a search engine. You're going to keep going deep in Java, into, whatever that you're going to talk about. You are going to keep going deep, right? So if you're going to keep going deep on that stuff, what is the most important action people can take that will help them solve their problem? Is to keep talking with you. That's the most important action people are going to take, is if they keep talking with you, right? If they create a relationship. If they create a relationship with you, right? That will allow them to keep listening about SEO, to keep hearing about this, to keep being notified about this. So your action, the best action you can help people take is to relationship with you. Whatever it is, follow me on Twitter, because next week I'm going to keep talking about this. Download my ebook. Go read my ebook, because if you read my ebook, I'm going to keep talking about this, right? Come register for my YouTube channel, because every week I'm going to talk more about this, right? If they create a relationship with you, that is the action that will help them keep moving, right? So that's why I want you to ask questions here with me, because I want to know you. I want you to come to the event and say, hey, Bruno, I'm Eric, right? Remember, I talked to you about search engine optimization and thesaurus and dictionaries. Yes, let's keep a conversation, right? I want you to do this with me, right? That's why I'm here working with you, not just talking, right? Because that's what we want. We want to create a relationship. The closer the relationship it is, the more that person will advance, because you are the only person that's guaranteed to continue going deep in that subject. So this is the best action you can have people take. Is an action that will help people have a relationship with you, right? And so if you're very clear on this, lots of people say, oh yeah, it's just gonna follow me on my GitHub account, or download my GitHub project, or follow me on Twitter if you want. That's not good enough, right? Because it doesn't help me take action. You have to give me a reason to take action. You can say, download my GitHub project right now, go there in GitHub, open GitHub, put a star in the project so you know what it is, right? So you can find it back when you get home, right? Because I'm gonna use that project to help you keep moving. Every day I'm gonna add things to this project so you can help me out, right? Follow me on Twitter, because next week I'm gonna publish every single day. I'm gonna publish something about search engines next week, right? Download my ebook, because if you download my ebook, you're going to have all of my best tips right there with you on your phone, on your Kindle, right? You know, it's going to have all my best tips there with you all the time. Help them, give them a clear reason why they should take this action right there with you. Because if they take the action right there with you, what happens? They will remember. Oh, yes. I watched Bruno's presentation and I took action right there to improve my career. I watched a Bruno presentation and I took action right there to improve my talk. During his presentation, I took action. And that's what makes it very memorable. Not the jokes, not the stories. All of those is great, right? All of those remember. But if you took action, you're helping people remember on the most important part of your presentation, that they took action. Make sense, Martin? All right. So last question here, so we can wrap this up at least 1 hour and a half, maybe. So Dan's line says, what are your thoughts on having slides that don't have too much content on the slides and be able to provide enough details for someone to reference later, especially aren't able to attend the talk? Okay. So, all right, makes a lot of sense, Martin. Okay, cool. All right, so 2 things here. First of all, slides. Let me tell you this. Let's get this over immediately, right? Slides always detracts from your talk. Always, right? Why? Because when you're speaking, you have a conversation with people, right? So if you have slides, they stop having a conversation with you and they look at the slides. So if you have something like I'm doing here, that's okay, because it's just, you know, that's not the focus. The focus is what I'm talking to you here, is you, is the questions, is the conversation, right? Is you taking action, right? It's like change your talk right now. That's the focus, right? Something in the back, it's okay. So, but like, that's not slides, right? This is you. You ask a question and I write something here. Now, let's say if I had slides, what would happen? You would ask a question and I was like, all right, I don't have a slide for that, so I can't answer your question. Or I say, oh yes, I know, I have a slide for your question, so let me go to your question, and then I'm gonna use my slides that were pre-done to answer your question. That's probably not gonna be exactly what you asked it, right? Because that, you know, that's, the slides are pre-done, right? So it's not okay. So slides always detract. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that you have to understand that they detract from your talk. So you have to work with them to make your talk better. You have to work with your slides to make the slides work. Otherwise, they're just distraction. You can't let slides just be distraction. You have to make the slide in a way that it works. It works with you, right? So, for example, when you say, if I have very little content on the slides, that's actually a positive thing, because I use the slides only as illustration to what I'm saying, right? So I could have, for example, this graphic here in a slide, so I didn't have to draw it, right? But then that's all there is to it, right? So slides can be very little content. But his question is not that what slides are little content. His question is, you know, people that weren't able to attend the talk. Well, people that weren't able to attend the talk, if all they're going to get your slides, they're going to be toasted. Seriously. Right? Because they can't follow this. Doesn't matter how much content you have in your slides. People can't follow your slides anyway. So for people that don't attend your talk, write them an article. Ignore the slides, man. You know, put the slides and say, you know, download the slides here. And then you say the first slide, you say, if you did not attend the talk, read this article, and point them to an article online. And so they go to see the article. Or instead of you offering slides for the events, offer an ebook. Say, okay, so instead of giving the slides, can I just give my PDF, my ebook PDF? So people that want to see the slides of my presentation, they can just download the ebook and they get a lot more. So people that didn't watch your talk, right? They need more than the slides to benefit from it. Way more. So don't do them a disfavor of just giving them the slides. Give something else. Write an article. Go deeper in an article, right? Create an open source project that helps them understand all that stuff. So what I think about slides that have little content, I like it because I don't care for slides anyway, and and are able to provide enough details for someone that references later. Yeah, give them an article, not slides. So you can't look. Think about this, right? You can't just use the same thing for two completely different stuff, right? It's like saying, okay, look, I need a truck to carry, building materials because I'm doing my house. I'm building my house, and I need a bicycle to go, down the hill on, it's kind of to go bike with my friends going down the park. So I need a truck to build my house, and I need a bike to go with my friends. Well, you know what? I want to merge those two things, right? So how about I do a car? Okay, a car is mid-term between a bicycle and a truck. So I do a car, and I can carry stuff, and I can kind of like go to the park with my friends. So it's going to be terrible both ways, right? It's going to be terrible for carrying stuff. It's going to be terrible for riding for friends, right? So that's the same. You have slides to be a backdrop for your talk. That's one thing. And then when people are not in your talk, they need something else. They need an article that they can actually go and read it and understand it. Make sense? But Bruno, am I going to have all this work? Yeah, that's your responsibility. That's why you're a speaker. That's why you're helping people. That's why you're a leader. That's why you're doing all that stuff, because you're taking the responsibility. You are Eric right here. You're taking the responsibility of keep reading, keep writing, keep discussing SEO. Sorry, Eric, I know it's not SEO, right? Keep and discuss this stuff, even though people are not caring anymore, right? That's why you're a speaker. You take the responsibility. Make sense, Dan? That's the best way of doing it. All right. So I think I answered all the questions. Lucine, baby. Yes. All right. Eric, thanks, man. All right. I can read it. Okay, Lucine. All right. Cool. If you had told me this before, we'd have used a better example. All right. So now the question is, how do you teach Lucine for kids? That's a much more interesting problem to solve, Eric. How do you teach Lucine to kids? All right? All right, guys. So, guys and gals, thanks very much. It was amazing to have you here. You have my email. If you have any questions, any needs, any support need that you need for Dev.Next, I'm going to be focused on Dev.Next for the next 30 days. I'll be in the U.S. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be in Los Angeles, San Diego, and Denver, right? Before I get to the event. So if you're in any of those places and and you want to meet with me in person, let me know. Send me an email, ping me on Twitter. Okay, so if you want, I'm at BR on Twitter. So my DMs are open. You can always talk to me. That's cool. Eric asked, how about index cards, sorting stuff on a table with paper? That's amazing. Yes. Do things. But now, make it a reason, right? Why do I need to sort things on a table? Just because the teacher wants me to sort things? That's boring. Well, do it different, right? Try to get kids to find information without being sorted. and then sort the information somehow, not alphabetically, because kids maybe miss alphabetically, but maybe sort out by color or sort out by type of toy, right? And so you can say, we're gonna play with Legos. Legos is a great way, man. I need to find a little piece. If they're sorted out, I can easily find it. If they're not sorted out, it's gonna be hard, right? So how do you sort music in the library? Sort by color or spine. Well, yes, think about something that kids will like, yes, that's useful in my life, right? I've got a bunch of Lego things over there, sorted by color. So maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. All right. Okay. Yes, Eric, think of all those things. It's going to be great, man. Okay. So if you want to discuss anything else, ping me on Twitter or reply to the email that you got, and because you're going to get my email. Let me see, who else? Thank you so much. Appreciate it a lot. Thanks, Martin. It was great. Thanks, Teresa. It was a really valuable session. Thanks a lot, Teresa. We're going to have more of those, okay? This is a great session. Thanks, Eric. Amog. Thanks, Bruno. All right, okay. Thanks, everyone. Great having you here. I'm here to support you for Dev.Next. So if you need anything else, let me know. Thanks a lot.